What up, what up, what up? What's going on? It's your boy Dash to UB. We about to get into who's next right here on Radio 22. Man, we started to kick things off last week. I think things went well. We had Casey and Kofa last Wednesday. Um, we had Landon Devon for our industry Saturday. So we getting into it. We trying to round out into shape and everything, and trying to make sure we get things booted and trying to bring you, try to put in work, try to make sure that we're still able to keep our platform going and extending our platform through live stream with everything going and everything changing with COVID-19. So, you know how I do. I'm just gonna check a few things, add a few people. And we gonna do what we do. We're gonna get things moving. So it is what it is. Hopefully everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. There's been a lot going on out here with people changing the restrictions and stuff on businesses and all those things going on right now. So doing what we can do, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Maintaining, handling our biz and all that. So, I just hope people are healthy and safe and figuring a way of, how to get through these crazy times right now. So it is what it is. Make sure, if you haven't downloaded our Radio 22 app, make sure to download the app. What up, Casey and Kofa? Radio 22 got an app for Android and Apple devices. Make sure to download that. I know tonight, we got Nobody Cares, the comedy podcast with Sincere Life. So I know y'all need to make sure to check that out. That's on at 10 tonight. The comedy podcast. You can catch the podcast as well on Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever basically you get podcasts, you can catch that. And the great thing about that as well is you can also catch all the Who's Next interviews. Those have also been podcasted through Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. You can get those. And actually, the Casey and Kofa joint that we just did Wednesday just went up on there as well. So if you missed our interview with Casey and Kofa, make sure to go and check that out. I think we may have our special guest tuning in right now. So let me see if I can get him joined in here with us, and we can get things started through the official Breaking and Entering page. There he is. What's going on, Allen?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a busy day around here, but as always, you know what I mean? Always a busy day.
Right. I know you've been doing a lot of talking today. You had another interview or whatever before this.
Yeah, I just did Cola's podcast. He's a local like indie rock kind of multi-genre kind of artist, and he does a podcast as well. So I just did that a couple hours ago.
Okay. That's what's up. Yeah, I was just kind of giving people an intro where Radio 22 is finally starting to convert some things online through live streaming with COVID-19. The way people are digesting things, everything has changed. So
Right.
keeping them up to date with what's going on. We started doing some interviews and stuff last week through the Who's Next series. And we did our first Industry Saturday last week as well, where we had Landon Devon speak about music promotion and song construction. So
Very cool.
we're just trying to get into it. What do we got? 7:56. Man, we may try to get in a little early. So for those, because we have some people already joined in looking in. So let me try and do an official intro here. You are tuned in. This is Radio 22. This is our Instagram page at my Radio 22. We have my man Allen Halas here from Breaking and Entering Milwaukee. if y'all are not familiar with that, because I know we have a lot of our listeners are Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago. By the end of this, you will be familiar with this, and you need to be. They've been doing some amazing work in Milwaukee. We were lucky to have them partner with us for a radio show. So we've been excited about that. The music's been amazing. And for those who, I always love to give a backstory. And hopefully I'm saving your talking for later and giving you a break in between interviews. For those, a lot of people in Madison don't know that I used to do music, but I used to have a record label called Deuce Deuce Entertainment, based out of Milwaukee. And Breaking and Entering had me as Artist of the Week in 2014 before I just moved up here to the Madison area.
Yeah.
So it was, it was a blessing. I was very appreciative. It's still, I can still look at it on Google. It's still ranking on Google, which is surprising. Like, oh man, it's still on here. But they've given opportunities and continue to give opportunities to numerous of artists. I can't even put a number to it. So I know, me being able to get a chance in 2014, and they've only grown since then. It's been amazing what you guys have done and continue to do, and how you guys continue to grow. So thank you for all that you do in the community, and for those hip hop heads. It's not just hip hop; it's music of all genres.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for extending the invite to us to come to a radio show too. So we're a daily music website based out of Milwaukee. Like we said, cover all genres of music. We do specialize in a lot of hip hop too, which is very cool. And we really we specialize in everything from the festival level down to the kid making something cool in his basement. And you can hear it on Radio 22 as well. You can hear that on Breaking and Entering Radio on Sunday nights too.
Yes, Sunday night, 7 to 9. Make sure you tune in. Yeah, man. So to kind of give them a little bit of background before moving forward, when did this start? When was Breaking and Entering established?
So Breaking and Entering really kind of started. It actually started as a podcast back in like 2009-ish.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So had we still been a podcast to this day, we would have been like, oh geez, we would have been killing it by now. But we went to Marquette Radio after that, and we did about 3 semesters at Marquette Radio. The guy that I was doing with, Steve Primark, he was a psychology major. I was a media major. So he ended up splitting off, because that's obviously a very intensive business.
Right.
He was doing his thing, and then I had the website. So we were going to sell shirts for a while. But my way of bringing people to the website was Milwaukee Artist of the Week, which a thing is up. And so that was kind of our way of getting people. And I was always involved with music. I got my start actually producing hip hop when I was in high school.
Oh wow!
So we go way back with local music, but I always had some aspect of Milwaukee music involved. And it's just a chance. Once I had the website, this was the blog era of hip hop. So that was our chance to be a blog and not only just cover hip hop, but to cover all genres. And it's really become, starting 2014 is when we really started doing daily content. So that's when things really, really pushed forward. And it's been a lot, but
it looks like a lot.
A few years later, here we are. We're doing the damn thing. So
right. So started from a podcast, innovative podcast before podcast was the thing.
Yeah, basically. We were hosted on a little site called mypodcast.com, which was it was a very early .com version of what the website, what things were. There was no Spotify, there was no Apple Music.
Right.
We couldn't even. It was a big thing if we were to get on iTunes, which I don't even think we ever did. So it was pre all of that. We were making it out of my parents' basement to start for a semester. And then we said, all right, we can really try student radio and move forward. And, then it just kind of snowballed into something. And now we're back on radio. So who would have thought? And we have a podcast again. So who would have known?
Right. Yeah, it all comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, so you have the website, and we'll get into some of the social media aspects of that website, because when I was looking at it and looking at your reach, I was like, this is insane. But before we get there, share with us some of the events. And I know with COVID-19, a lot of those events have either been postponed or changed in some way. Tell us about some of the events that you guys are behind. And I'm really interested in hearing a little bit more details of that Big Beat MKE, that producer battle, man.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that everybody's doing the Instagram battle things during quarantine. Couldn't have been a better time for that, right?
Right.
So we, for the last 2 years, and this will be our third year coming up, have a beat battle called Big Beat MKE that actually carries on in the tradition of a thing called the Milltown Beatdown that used to be held in Milwaukee. That was a similar thing. It was a head-to-head beat battle tournament. Ours is over the course of 8 weeks consecutively. It's 16 producers that go head-to-head. It's like a battle. You get 3 rounds that are a minute each. Whatever beat you can bring an original creation to the table, kind of thing.
Right.
And then every night there's 2 battles to move on to who's going into the next round. And we also have 2 performances from Milwaukee hip hop artists at the same time. So it's part concert, part battle, all in this place called the Jackalope Lounge in the 3rd Ward in Milwaukee, which is a real nice nice spot. And we pack it in and we have a party at it, for 8 weeks straight. It's really awesome.
That's dope. I know what was the pictures I was looking at? I think in the picture that I saw, Mekamala was a part of it. And I think you maybe had Mondo DJing or something like that. I'm not sure which picture that was.
He's been part of it. DJ Alpine is our in-house DJ right now.
Okay.
And then Mekamala is actually going to be in this year's tournament. We did just announce the 16 producers that submitted online and got selected to be in the tournament. So obviously, once we can have those dates, once we get that figured out, once the state is back up and running, we'll be having the battle just like normal, and we have acts lined up from all over the city as well to perform. So we're still gonna truck ahead. It's just waiting on when we can, which is all cool with us. We're ready to throw a big event when we can.
Right. And then you had another event that I think was supposed to be in May. That was over on the north side. I've been to the club before and I can't think of it right now.
That was actually at the Cactus Club. Lake. Yeah. So that's in Bay View. Yeah, and that's the Land by the Lake Festival. So that's in conjunction with a producer named Describe, who he actually works out of Green Bay. And for years he's put on the Land by the Lake mixtape series, which in very much a similar vein of what Breaking and Entering does, brings people together from all over the city. And he brings them together for a mixtape. And last year we did the first year of the festival itself. And we did it Memorial Day weekend. We did just a whole day of Milwaukee hip hop at Cap. So it was a long one. It was like an 8-hour show, but it was really cool, and got to see a lot of different people come out. So it was a really good look for Milwaukee's hip hop scene for sure.
Definitely. What's the status on that event? Is that kind of in holding as well right now?
Yep, basically. We're gonna reschedule that one as well for whenever we can. I know Cactus Club has been rescheduling a lot of dates into the fall already. So, but at some point it's gonna happen. We're gonna put it on, and hope we get a lot of people to come out and check it out too.
Definitely. So let's bounce back a little bit to your website and how you guys engage artists and promote artists. First, my first question, because I know we'll have listeners from different areas. What is the process to be able to be featured or to be able to be a part of one of the playlists that you guys have going on at Breaking and Entering? And if you were an artist that does not live in the Milwaukee area, do you still provide a platform for them as well?
Yeah, definitely. So we have our email is info@breakingandentering.net. That's our submission email. That's the easiest way to reach out to our staff. And
Okay.
it's myself and another writer, Ben Slowey, and another guy that helps us out, Pat Carroll. The three of us are really the core three that get involved with the website. And Pat
Okay.
actually hosts Breaking and Entering Radio with me. Um, but yeah, send it to info@breakingandentering.net. We do focus on Milwaukee music, but it's Milwaukee and all over. If you see the page of our website, we do have a Milwaukee section, and then we have an everywhere else section.
Yep.
So if you're an artist in Chicago, or if you're an artist in California or wherever, we make sure that we get out to those artists too, and we can help put on some of their stuff on our site too.
Right.
Definitely part of keeping a thriving music scene is having your local artists be highlighted, but it is to also bring music from all over the world into your city as well.
Right. That's incredible. I know, at least for artists here in Madison, they were interested. They've heard the radio show and was like, is it exclusively Milwaukee? And I was like, I don't think so. We got an interview coming up, so I'll definitely be able to dive into that. So you may have an increase of some Madison submissions coming your guys' way.
Definitely cool with us. Definitely looking forward to it. We're, honestly, we've been saying on the show, we've been kind of looking for the hip hop spots in Madison. So eventually, we want to bring an event out that way too. Once we can, and we're looking to know where the clubs are, where the venues are that put on hip hop shows. We definitely want to be part of it as well too.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll have to continue to talk about that when the restrictions and things are raised, and see what we can plot out and put together. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of overlap with things going on out here, and a lot of things that you guys are doing. To your credit, you guys have been able to do a lot of the things all in-house. And I think out here in Madison, we have a number of different entities doing bits and pieces.
Yep.
So, to be able to try and link up with you, and maybe that'll help in bringing some of these separate entities together under one roof. I would definitely love to make that happen.
Yeah, and to be honest, Milwaukee was that way for a long time too, where there was, people over on the east side making music, the north side scene, and the south side was always underrepresented, and there was always just little pockets of stuff everywhere, different sounds, different styles, kind of thing. A really diverse array of hip hop coming out of Milwaukee, and it just took something like us to kind of bring all those things and kind of mix them together and give everybody that equal light to kind of see what can be done here for sure. And I think it's the music scene here for sure.
Right. You guys have been able to centralize things, and even back in the days where we were booking, it was always difficult because depending on where the event was the indicator of who was going to show up.
Yeah.
So, and we're out off a good hope. We're like, we can't get south side, and we may not be able to get east side. But if we're east side, we're like, oh man, we can't get west or northwest. And if we're south side, they aren't going to come across the bridge and check us out south side. And I've even heard downtown, like, I don't have my L's.
Yeah.
I was like, it's hard to win.
Definitely, yeah. And I will say we still run into a little bit of that with booking shows and putting things together. But for the most part, people are kind of familiar now with what we do at least in the city. So it's cool that we can kind of bring like hip hop, especially into places that might not have normally booked hip hop, like the Jackalope Lounge that we do our beat battle out of. Other than previously doing the battle, obviously those guys kicked in the door for us, but it's cool to say like now we have the trust of them to go say, hey, we can throw a hip hop show here. It's gonna be fine. Like you can, and it's in like a neighborhood that would really not be normally a hip hop neighborhood. Right. And it's very cool to say like, no, we're bringing that there. You know what I mean? Like it feels nice to say like we're kind of bringing the city together in this one central location.
Right. And especially with that area that has now grown so much, because isn't that like right around the corner from the market they have down there now?
Yeah, exactly. It's literally diagonal right across the corner from the public market. And I mean, even like the area around like Fiserv Forum has built up in downtown,
Yeah.
like that. It's cool to see the city grow and transform and to be a part of it too.
Right. Right. And that's the key, to be a part of that growth and not be pushed out even as the city is changing in different areas.
Oh,
That's
100%.
what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
All right. Let's talk about your online presence. Um, we've talked about the generalities as far as the website and the different things that you have going on the website and how you can submit things on the website. Yeah, you guys have videos. I saw the stuff with Mr. Nice Guy. You guys have blogs. You got the radio show now posted there.
Yeah.
And I went to your social media and my mouth dropped.
Yeah.
I have not been to a music website that had profiles in so many different places. And I'm not talking about the regular, yes, everyone has Facebook, Instagram, and Twitters and stuff like that. I'm talking about Spotify, TikTok, Spoon, Snapchat. Yep. I've subscribed to your emails, so I'm getting all the emails. You guys have your newsletter. How in the world are you guys able to, and you may not want to divulge it, keep up with all of those different things and populate all those different places? And for artists that are a part of it, the immense benefit of having your music in so many different places without having to do it yourself is an incredible gift. How are you guys able to do this?
To be very honest, like, it's been a continual build. It was something that really started as, like, I remember when, doing a post a day was like a lot. And, I got to put a picture on the post and whatever. Like, that was like a lot for me. Grew into like doing like 3 posts on the website to like 5 to like us saying, hey, we have Instagram and Snapchat and stories, and the influence it came from like Snapchat Discover stories, how you can see like Vice, or you could see ESPN or whatever, and they had like a page. And I was like, well, Breaking and Entering is never going to be one of those 8. We're never going to be that big that we have one of those. So how do we make our Instagram story and our Snapchat story similar to that? And so that's where you can see like the content that's on the website for the day. You can see like snippets of the videos that we put up on Instagram and stuff like that. When we do the radio show, we record a segment of it for video as well, so we can kind of cross, everything and promote it as well. We kind of figure out a way to make things as multifaceted as possible. And I mean, the stuff that's on our Instagram stories, just the stuff that's on the website, just the featured images, posted into a nice, looking story. And I think we're very aware too of like, it's not the blog era of hip hop anymore. So
very true.
You know what I mean? People aren't consuming music straight off of our website anymore. So what we can do is we can still be in those places. We can still be on Facebook and Twitter, and then still reach out to, Spotify with a weekly playlist or our podcast, or, take a TikTok, which is just a snippet of a video from our website, and have a presence there. So like the radio show gets uploaded to Spoon as well, all sorts of stuff like that. Like, we try to find unique ways to be all over the internet and take up as much digital real estate as we can so that people can see what we're doing. And I think that you guys have been the vision and the ability to continue to morph and change with the times. Even from when we first started this conversation and say, hey, we were kind of doing the podcast, the college radio thing. Then we went over to the website, we did the blogs. We've expanded from that and created more of a social media blueprint. I mean, just a lot of people aren't able to be that nimble as, as a website or as a business to be able to really adapt. So that's incredible that you guys have been able to do that and sustain that. Yeah, thank you. And like I said, it has been a build. So it really, the more we learn about something, the more we try, like right now, honestly, during quarantine, we've been trying different stuff and seeing what we can do. I mean, like we played around with some streaming stuff, some like it's a software called OBS that's like a broadcasting system.
I've been working with the same thing, trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, we've been playing around with stuff like that and like just trying to see what can be new and different. And you know, like I said, we were kind of ahead of the game on podcasts originally, so now we're trying to catch up with everything else that see where else we can be ahead of the game, kind of thing.
Right, right, yeah. I mean, COVID-19 has forced people to adapt.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to come down to like who has some of the best digital game, I think for sure. And that's an area that we seem to specialize in.
Right, right. Yeah, that's incredible. The impact. Speaking of COVID-19, what do you think has been the impact of COVID-19? One, on you guys, which you've kind of touched on about trying to adapt and look at things more in a visual medium. But how has it impacted artists close to you? And I'm sure a lot of the things that artists are going through in Milwaukee, the same thing in Madison. What have you heard?
Yeah, I mean, from an artist standpoint, I would say that the biggest thing is obviously not being able to be out and be present and do shows. And same for us, we throw a lot of shows. We had a lot of stuff scheduled for summer that it's kind of up in the air now.
Right.
But I think, like I said, the plus of it is we get to be a little more creative and we get to learn about stuff that was probably already out there, like technology-wise, like even doing stuff like we're doing right now.
Right.
It was out there. We just never really did it. And now coming out of quarantine, we can do stuff like this. I can do interviews and do things like that via Instagram, and that's all right.
Right.
And artists too have had a very similar experience of like lots of live streaming shows. We actually just did a benefit called the Forward Music Festival, all on Instagram, that we were involved in promoting it. I shouldn't say that because I didn't. But what it was 3 days from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The artist logged into the venue's Instagram account and went live on Instagram. And then and then they broadcasted it for like those 4 hours, and they just kept signing out and signing in so that the next artist could come in. And it was a fundraiser for 3 different Milwaukee venues, for Cactus Club, Cooperage, and X-Ray Arcade. And those guys, and it raised over like $2,000 for the venues to keep going and continue to push music out once things are back up and running.
Wow. That's a great idea. But that's amazing that the artists were willing to contribute that time as well.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was interesting to see them adapt to performing in front of performing and taking comments live and things like that. So like in between songs, you would see like a band or like an artist respond to something that's happening while they're performing, which is cool to see like an interactive element of it.
Real time, and then being able to respond real time.
Yeah, exactly.
What advice, and I know that you're navigating that landscape, and we're navigating that landscape for artists that are out there that are trying to figure out, how can I still be relevant during this time that I don't have the FaceTime or the one-on-one of the performances? What advice would you give artists right now that are kind of like, I'm not sure where to go from here?
I think honestly the biggest thing is if you're not doing stuff like this, like you're live streaming, or if you're not interacting with people that way so much, you have this time available to create something, which is, and you can plot and plan for when the world does go back to normal at some point. And I think this is kind of like a big hard reset for everybody, that if you're an artist and you're really, really trying to build and you think you can do something substantial, now is the time to draw that plan, and then the goal is to then stick to it, obviously.
Right.
But I think now is definitely the time to really lay the blueprint down for how you're going to navigate not only the rest of this year, but maybe going forward from there. What content are you going to put out? what is the schedule of it? How do you do this so that it's not, I put out an album and then it's out for a month and everybody forgets about it? How do you, create a plan to stay relevant from here on out,
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, that echoes a lot of the stuff I've kind of shared with some artists here. There's been some artists just looking for, like, what are next steps? And I tell them kind of what I'm going through. I'm like, I'm in the process of learning new things. I think things, even though things will go back to normal, I'm not sure everything gets put back in the can. I think some things will be permanently changed. And and people are now used to digesting information from artists or way they're being entertained differently.
Yeah, definitely. And we're, people are getting everything faster, and stuff is more disposable as well too. I mean, when you think about it, music and videos, they don't have the shelf life of what they were. An album can come out and it used to be your only body of work for months.
Right.
Maybe even a year before your next album came out. Now it's kind of like you put something out and by the next week, somebody else has put something out that has eclipsed what you've done. So it's a matter of finding out, how do I create something and then add onto it, or, keep the image out there, keep your name, at least still somewhat relevant so that people don't forget about the work that you just put into whatever project you just put out,
Right. Which leads me to another question, kind of similar to what we had talked about before, but for artist submissions, now that you're talking about like this, almost like the single versus the album, do you guys promote albums, or maybe you're not getting submissions of albums? I don't know. Do you guys promote albums? Do you guys only promote singles? Do you do either or? Is the market saying, we ain't even sending you an album or a mixtape, we just sending you the singles? How's that working?
We do cover albums, singles, videos, all of that. We do cover all of that content on the site.
Okay.
That's all relevant to us too, because it's content for us as well.
Right.
I will say I've seen people don't know what an album is versus an EP versus a single anymore, it seems like. Honestly, I lose track of it too. I have my own preferences, but I don't think people listen to that. I think that, we definitely love to see a full project when we can. Mm-hmm. I prefer to listen to an album if I can. I love hearing a whole body of work.
Right.
A lot of people don't consume it that way. I know a lot of people consume just the video or just the single. A lot of Milwaukee's hip hop scene literally just lives on YouTube. Like the whole North Side Underground scene.
Yeah.
Just lives on YouTube putting out videos, and they have no plans to ever put out EPs or projects or anything like that. And they rack up thousands of views just off videos. So that's again another pocket that we see. But we try to cover it all as a media outlet and put out as much as we can from our standpoint, just to kind of show people this is what's being made in Milwaukee.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I know even with the radio, artists are figuring out what to send, what to send and how to send it. So it's good to know that you're consuming all sorts of media.
Yeah, definitely. And for the radio show, we're obviously still taking submissions too. Clean radio edits, please, everybody.
Please.
You know what I mean?
Please.
That saves me so much time if I don't have to go in and hit the reverse and edit out some stuff. So that's a good portion of my pre-prep for the show every week, is scrubbing what I can, making sure everything's clean.
Yeah. Right. So now bridging into the radio show every Sunday, 7 to 9.
Yep.
What is the process for an artist to be a part of that mix, to somehow have a chance to be in that 2-hour mix? What do they need to do, and what are you looking for?
So the same as the website, we're taking info at breakingandentering.net for all the submissions. Just works easiest to get it that way. Obviously, something that we think is, we really don't have a parameter other than it has to be a hip hop song, obviously.
Yep.
And then we want it to be clean, preferably, but we can work around that if we gotta. And I think just music that we really feel, I mean, I prefer to not have like a snippet, like not like a 1.5, minute song or something. But we, not saying that we haven't played stuff like that already too. Just stuff that we're feeling, and stuff that we think represents the city well is the stuff that ends up on the show. So there's not necessarily like a very formal process, but it's enough to to get your music heard.
Right. And for those that may not be familiar with it, that may be viewing from the Breaking and Entering side, but not familiar with Radio 22, the Breaking and Entering Milwaukee radio show is broadcasted on Radio 22, which is solely an internet station. You can download the apps for Apple and Android, but it is restreamed. It is simulcasted on 103.5 FM, which is an FM station right here in Madison. So it's not only the listenership of Radio 22, which is internet based, but 103.5, which is an FM station, and it has its own internet base as well. So that's where it's going. And I know some people have asked, they listen to hip hop in Madison. Madison has a hip hop scene. You for some people that have not been here, you'll be surprised. I've brought up a few artists from Milwaukee that I used to work with and do music with for shows, and they've been surprised, like, oh, you guys,
really?
Yeah, right.
We can't wait once we get the chance. Patrick and I have both said we want to go up. We want to get out to Madison for a little bit. Go check out the scene there. Obviously, we know like the college scene, and we know that we've been to plenty of Badger games, but. But we definitely want to see where the hip hop spots are, so we can go, eventually throw a show there too, and maybe even get some of that college crowd to come in and see what the hip hop is about.
Yes, definitely. I reached out because I felt it was a perfect fit genre wise, of course, but to get even more of a representation of hip hop from the state. Is really what we were hoping to do. It's a platform that can reach everywhere when I speak about Radio 22, but I kind of like Milwaukee's the home base. We want to rep, we want to support, we want to give the platform. We would like to do that not only in Madison, but Milwaukee, Racine, GB, Eau Claire, for the state. Because I know there's not that many options of websites, publications, radio stations that says, hey, yes, we're looking for your content. We have created a platform for you. Please send it through.
Yeah, and it's very cool, and it really lines up with what we do at Breaking and Entering, because, we can tell people to get Milwaukee music out to, part of what we do is trying to get people that aren't listening aren't paying attention to Milwaukee music. So we try to get the word out to them, and it's very cool that we do get to push out to Madison and beyond that with Radio 22, because when we can bring Milwaukee artists and put them on this platform and get it out to somebody that might have never heard of them otherwise, and maybe somebody that doesn't know how to promote themselves the best, but we think that they're dope, so we get to put them out on the station as well.
Right. Shout out Party at 4. He was just on the Who's Next, the explicit version on Monday. We just we got play on Monday or whatever. So appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, man. I've enjoyed it because I've been away from Milwaukee for about 5 to 6 years. A lot has changed. A lot of people that were in the game when I was there, not in the game. They're doing video or something else now. And it's good to be able to hear that Milwaukee flavor. Yeah. Again, so I know people here enjoy it, and personally, I enjoy it. It makes me feel at home a little bit. Just with that style, it's just been so long. But people appreciate it, and the platforms here that I'm associated with Radio 22 and 90 and the 95.5 serve, and we aren't the only ones, but we serve as a foundation for hip hop here. So
Yeah.
95.5, through the Who's Next show, plays local hip hop, but also plays classic hip hop. And the thing about both stations, where some people's like, "Oh man, is it a fit?" I'm like, we're already doing it. We're already doing it locally, and we're already doing it from 80s, 90s, early 2000s hip hop already. So we've already started to work in those listeners to be used to that and to look for a hip hop in these two areas. So that's where I think you're a great fit.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, I think that that's one of the things you have to do to, like I said, cultivate a local scene is to really, you can have the stuff that's palatable to people that are already listening to hip hop. People are just fans of the genre in general. But then you can start working in like, okay, your local scene into that. Now people have something that's connected to them. You know what I mean? Like they know like my city that's being represented here. So like with Breaking and Entering, like people know that this is Milwaukee music being represented here.
Right.
And with my Radio 22 and with 95.5, they know that this is a Madison thing. Like, it's unique to the city, which is very cool to see. And not a lot of places have that sort of thing, so it's very cool when people can do that,
Right. And for people to join forces that are creating their movements in their towns or their cities or wherever it may be, for us to be able to get together to make this larger, to be able to create more opportunities for everybody involved.
Definitely. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, just to try to look for those partnerships was key. And kind of as I put in the email, is like, and sometimes you gotta, if you have an opportunity, you gotta pay it forward. Like the opportunity you guys gave me, I didn't know I was gonna get it, and I was very appreciative of it. And to be able to now be in a position to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Is this something that can now help with what you guys are doing?
It's helped me kickstart with doing this. I mean, like we wouldn't have been producing a radio show had we not got the invite from you. So now we have that, and now we're like, all right, this is content that we can make every week, and it's fun that we get to do. Honestly, like Patrick and I really like doing it and putting the show together and being able to, not only put it out. I'm not gonna lie, I listened to it when the final version when I'm like driving around, and I heard it this week. And it's kind of weird to hear my own voice on the radio. but it's cool to be like, all right, this is a cool mix of music that like we threw together as well too, which that helps as well. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, the first radio thing is always a little weird. It's almost like the first recording experience. Like, oh, that's me. That's how I sound.
Yeah, each time you hear it back, you're like, wait a minute. That's like going out live to people right now. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, that's what's up. One more question for you.
Yes.
And I wanted this to be biographical a little bit for Breaking and Entering. Introduce some things about Radio 22 and 95 to your audience, but also where I can get tidbits for artists that are viewing, that may listen to it later. Trends. What are you seeing as trends in the hip hop community? And when I say trends, as far as musical trends, on my end, I've noticed songs are getting relatively shorter.
Yes.
On my end, and I've also, and this may not apply to you, but for me, being in radio for a while, I've struggled to get radio edits. And I'm wondering if artists now maybe are not seeing the benefit of radio because they're able to take it to a Spotify or Apple Music or whatever right away and kind of have their own digital distribution. What kind of trends are you seeing on your end?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, honestly, with that. I think that, songs are getting shorter because people's attention spans are getting shorter.
True, very true.
people are learning how to like turn out a song and make it a little bit, like we said, more disposable. Where if
Right.
they realize like, okay, if I threw down three amazing verses and people don't even get to the third one, now I've wasted that verse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the mentality behind some of it. And then I think the other thing too, like you said, like there aren't as many radio edits. Like A, people just don't ever think about making them, but B,
Right.
they just throw it up on Spotify and we'll see what happens with it. But really,
Right.
it is a benefit to still being broadcast into people's homes and devices and whatever. You know,
Right.
there's a benefit of catching a new audience by being broadcast out to a new audience. You know,
Right. Right.
anything can turn you off from a Spotify as far as like, oh, I don't like that guy's name or I don't like the album art or whatever, to not listen to
Yep.
it. If it's sent to you and you hear it and you don't know who it is until you go back afterwards, like that's the benefit of radio right there. Is you're
Right.
a new artist without even, you're getting broken as a new artist. You're getting introduced just from the mere fact that you got one play on the radio that somebody might have heard somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
especially having an FM dial, like people that are in their cars, people that are, out and about that have a radio, like there's no reason that they can't stumble upon you and then, find out what you want to do from there on.
Right. Right. Yeah, we play when we play classic hip hop, it's always funny to hear like gangster rap, the radio edits, but it reminds me of like, man, these guys are putting in work, because a lot of them have like Snoop and like Dre have like different rapped versions.
Yeah.
Like there's no reverse or I took out the word or sound effect. They wrote it slightly differently.
They had to
And
write
it's
a
like,
verse and they had to lay down a new verse for it. They had to punch in for
right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
So it's we've moved quite a ways away from that time.
Oh,
Lastly, what advice would you give artists? I guess to help them from a promotional standpoint, or for them to be noticed. I know you get all types of submissions, and I'm sure those submissions come in 80 different forms. From, we actually have a bio, we know when your next show is, oh, you gave us links to listen to this, and you give them the whole mixtape link, and just give them a mixtape link. What advice do you have for them in that submission process, and what advice in generally in marketing yourself, what advice would you give them?
So the first thing I would say is you can Google how to write a press release. That is the biggest like advantage that you can have as an artist. Google how to write a press release. If you don't feel comfortable writing it, find somebody that does.
Right.
Give me, the easier you can make my job for writing an article or writing a piece or getting your song to the radio, like the better. You know what I mean? So I would say that's the biggest thing, is people need to learn how to write a press release. They need to learn what the media outlets are looking for. Personally, for myself, I take everything that gets posted on Breaking and Entering is a streaming link of some sort.
Right.
I don't take MP3s and put them up on the website because I can't. Technically, I can't put somebody else's music out there like that.
Right.
Can't host it. So, but if I can have a link that I can stream and then embed on the website, great. Whatever I can get that's going to make my job easier as a writer is going to be beneficial to the artist. And honestly, it's going to be more accurate. You know what I mean? So, like, if you got 10 mixtapes out and 3 of them are on DatPiff and 2 of them are over on SoundCloud and one's on Spotify, and I only see the one on Spotify, I might say this is your first release because I don't know. So if you can put a press release out that says this is his 10th album or his 10th tape, like, that's going to make anything that I put up accurate to what what an artist is doing. And really, I would say to look at it from the perspective of a writer or of a media outlet to, what are they going to be looking for? The other thing I would say as far as promotion for an artist is learn the new stuff first. Learn, you know what I mean? Like, So we had mentioned earlier about how like Snapchat and TikTok and all of this stuff, we're all over the place. Um, don't be afraid as an artist to play around with the new thing and get your presence up there, because you never know what could be the thing that's going to pop you off. You know,
Right.
the first people that really killed Instagram. Think about even now, like, okay, so quarantine, everybody's been home, they've been inside. Instagram Live has taken off. Hence why
Yeah.
Instagram Live has gone nuts. Tory Lanez, obviously, killing Instagram Live. The people doing beatbacks, killing Instagram Live right now. So don't be afraid to play around with it, because we can see, what the trend is going to be. Don't be afraid to try something on it. You know what I mean? We do live stuff, we do streaming stuff because we can now, because everybody's doing it.
Yep.
But beat battles are bringing in, the industry beat battles are bringing in hundreds of thousands of people. Tory Lanez is doing 300,000 every time he does quarantine radio. So,
Right.
I mean, like, that's unheard of numbers. Imagine trying to get 300,000 people in a venue or in a festival or something, It'll never.
Right.
He's killing it because he was the one to go out there and take that risk and try it. So I would say if you're try something, especially when the new platforms come out, be on top of whatever is new and how to make your presence felt there.
Right. That's what's up. That's some great information. Press release is something that gets overlooked and rarely mentioned.
Oh yeah.
But you broke it down in a very simplistic way of you being able to get it done where there should really be no excuse.
Yeah, exactly. You know how many emails I get that are like, "Hey bro, check out my SoundCloud with a link."
I know. I'm feeling that pain with you.
Prevent all
right, man. All right, I appreciate your time, Allen Halas. Breaking and Entering Milwaukee. Breaking and Entering Milwaukee radio every Sunday night on Radio 22 and WWMVLP 95.5 FM Madison. That's a lot to say. 7 to 9 p.m. every Sunday. Thank you for your time. Let's stay in touch. I'm looking forward to this Sunday's mix, man.
For sure, man. It's going to be a good one this week. So thank you. And yeah, everybody, make sure you check out breakingandentering.net. Find us all over the internet. As we said, we're everywhere. And thank you for having me on for an interview.
All right, man. Sounds good. Be safe, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Peace, man. See you guys.
Yep. Peace.